set ready! Fight for Moulder Clan! Fight for THROT!
The lands and seas of the world of Warhammer are vast, mighty, and dangerous. The planet is home to a large variety of amazing and frightening species, including many different creatures and beasts that lurk in caves, tunnel networks, and underwater passages. Creatures that roam the open fields or fly high above all others. What follows is a collection of works by the Doctor of Biology and Zoology from the University of Nuln, Steffan Hoffman. I am proud to bring you a compiled account of Hell Pit, a dreaded Skaven stronghold of Clan Moulder from second-hand sources and rare reports. No sane Imperial scholar would dare travel to Hell Pit in person, for the approach alone is lethal. Toxic fumes choke the air, and shambling failed experiments roam the wastes, attacking any living thing they find. Thus my study relies on the harrowing testimonies of those few who have glimpsed Hell Pit and lived, as well as intercepted documents and Dwarf records. My aim is to illuminate what is known of this abominable place, its history, and the biological horrors spawned in its depths, all while acknowledging the profound terror it inspires across the old world. In doing so, I hope to better arm our scholars and leaders with knowledge, hoping that we may understand our hidden enemy and steel the Empire against the nightmares bred in Hell Pit.
For I cannot forget the revulsion I felt upon seeing those flayed bodies rotting in the sunlight on the morrow, nor can I repress the memory of the rat things beneath the gibbous moon the eve before. That those creatures wrought such horror before my very eyes, willingly and with relish, is far less frightening to me now than the fact that nobody else will believe my tale.
The very idea of the Skaven in Hell Pit is enough to send a shudder through those who have heard the tales. Across the old world, and especially within the Empire, Hell Pit occupies a place in the shadowy fringes of folklore and nightmare. In taverns, travellers swap stories, some of them wildly exaggerated, of mutant rat things boiling up from underground lairs. The fear that Hell Pit inspires is out of proportion to how many have actually seen it, and this is largely because those who do see it rarely return. Indeed, in the Empire proper, knowledge of the Skaven and Hell Pit is officially suppressed. Imperial authorities maintain that there are no such things as rat-men, a stance intended to preserve public order. Most Imperial academies deride tales of Skaven as ignorant nonsense, attributing sightings to beastmen or chaos mutants instead. Those scholars who insist Skaven are real, let alone speaking of a giant breeding pit of monster rats in the far north, risk ridicule and censure. Over the years, the Skaven themselves have worked through covert agents to keep mankind confused, assassinating credible witnesses and destroying evidence. Thus, the common folk of the Empire live in blissful ignorance for the most part, unaware of the roiling nightmare realm beneath the distant tundra. But ignorance does not equate to safety. In truth, many in positions of authority do know of the Skaven threat. Within the ranks of the Church of Sigmar, the witch hunters, and the scholars of the Collegium Historia, there are those who have pieced together fragments of the truth. I count myself among the scholars who have gathered and guarded this terrible knowledge. We trade reports in secret, sharing accounts from the frontiers and beneath our cities. We know that if even a fraction of Hell Pit's forces were unleashed en masse upon the Empire, it would be a calamity of untold proportions.
Me finally cure the hunger!
This horrific place lies in the frigid northern frontier of the old world, on the edge of troll country beyond Kislev. The stronghold is hewn into a ragged chasm on the northern spur of the World's Edge Mountains, burrowed into the icy earth. Worse still is the cacophony echoing from the pit. An unholy chorus of howls, screams and shrieks rising incessantly from the darkness. Not without reason do locals call this place Hell Pit, for by all accounts it is a living nightmare beneath the rock and frost. Though Hell Pit is far removed from civilized lands, it is hideously overpopulated with Skaven and other heinous creatures. Skaven of Clan Moulder live and die within its cavernous tunnels. It is estimated that more than 100,000 ratmen inhabit the stronghold, breeding and experimenting in endless cycles, although the final number could be more. No one can truly know for certain. The stronghold is structured in a series of 9 descending circles, like a parody of some infernal city, each layer containing laboratories, pens, and pits for gruesome work. At the very gateway, iron and bone fortifications studded with warpstone serve as Hell Pit's entrance, and rusted cells filled with captives, men, elves, dwarfs, and even goblins. They are all, tragically, used as raw material for the clan's grotesque experiments.
Fail me, and me eat arms and leg legs. Stitch sew heads onto socket holes. Put brains in worm things.
Deeper circles house breeding pits, flesh laboratories, euphemistically called skin forges, gladiatorial arenas for testing creations, and brood chambers crawling with vermin. Every level of Hell Pit is said to wriggle with mutated creatures in various stages of creation or decay. The environment itself seems tainted. Warpstone-infused runoff pools and sickly glowing lakes, and clouds of toxic smoke hang over the crater. We can say that Hell Pit is a foul city of flesh and industry, where every stone and tool is bent towards the crafting of living horrors. Surrounding the Hell Pit is an ashen wasteland on the border of the Chaos Wastes. Few natural creatures dwell there, save for warped monstrosities, which Clan Moulder actively seeks out. Moulder packmasters scour the barren troll country around Hell Pit for deadly specimens to capture. For example, chaos-twisted beasts such as manticores, hydras, and chimeras roam the wilds. These are prime targets for the clan's hunters, who trap them in heavy iron cages and drag them back to the pits for use in breeding and augmentation. The approach to Hell Pit is further guarded by the refuse of its experiments, malformed brutes that Clan Moulder discard into the outside world. These wretches, still mutating in agony, prowl the surrounding rocks, attacking anything they encounter without hesitation. Would-be invaders must first face these deranged guardians, and the poisonous air itself, before even reaching Hell Pit's fortified gate. Unsurprisingly, very few outsiders have seen Hell Pit and returned to tell the tale.
Say what you will about sailors' tales. I've walked the far wastes in the north and heard the chains rattle before I saw the thing that wore them. What seemed to be the packmasters unleashed a massive rat ogre into the snow, a mountain of soon meat. At that moment I understood that those lands were cursed. Keep to the roads where the wind is clean. Lock your doors at dusk and pray the earth stays still. For when the ground begins to quiver, it is already too late.
The closest Hell Pit comes to any kind of structure or ordered layout is a division of territory onto different levels. The labyrinthine tunnels and passageways are divided into 9 circled levels, Each circle has its own set of halls, pits, caves, and even unique creature specimens that live there. Each of the 9 circles bears the sigils and scent marks of its presiding master mutator, powerful members of Clan Moulder. For the ones that can make it to help it, the stronghold opened with a titanic gate of iron and bone, studded with warpstone, hung with screaming bodies and starving individuals. Carved above the gate are marked plaques and hide scrolls that tell of the glories of Clan Moulder and command all who enter to abandon hope. Warpstone studs burn like foxfire in the letters, making the script seem to crawl. A thick, grey-crusted river of lava runs before it, where a warpstone-eyed ferryman in a stone vessel judges petitioners from many Skaven clans. This ferryman holds his stone barge as storm vermin sort arrivals by price and usefulness. Beyond, captives are tallied, branded, and funneled toward cage stacks, breeding pens, or stitch altars, where saws sing and vats bubble. Just past the gates and the river of lava is the second circle of Hell Pit. And here are the raw materials. Prisoners of every race packed into filthy cages, racked in tears and barely able to move. Humans, dwarfs, elves, Kislevites, Norskins, Greenskins, and even wretched Skaven debtors or warlords from other rival clans, crammed into iron cages stacked 3 and 4 tiers high, welded shut and slick with frost and filth. Branding irons hiss while packmasters jab shock prods to make captives bare teeth and raise their arms. Scribe rats chalk weight, age, and temperament into flayed hide tags, sniffing for fear scent, fever, and even deformities. A Skaven lord named Verminkin inspects the new stock and has storm vermin march selected captives down to the deeper levels for experiments. The third circle are the breeding dens, blood-slick halls, crawl with fleas and brood mothers, while a master mutator, fused grotesquely to a doom bull's shoulders, paces the aisles. Bloated rat queens nurse litter after litter as obscene pairings and surgical splices create sellable monsters. The strongest are earmarked for rat ogre broods, the swift for wolf rat packs, and the truly promising are marked for more refinements and enhancements. These are bound to become massive and corpulent beasts when they reach their final forms as time passes. Yet, the vast majority of them are always in constant change and mutation, so no such thing as a finished specimen truly exists. Then the open chambers lashed by warpstone-tainted rain double as halls of revel and research. This circle houses the great feast halls of Clan Moulder, where their victories are celebrated and their plans are made. THROT the Unclean keeps his principal laboratories on this level, prowling between glass vats and rune-clamped frames, gnawing warpstone as he dictates notes to chittering aides. Alchemical fumes mix with roast meat and spilled tinctures. Failures are wheeled away even as triumphs are paraded past the cheering crews. Beneath these halls lie the clan's vast treasury. Torchlit vaults of warpstone and precious metals, muttering scribes tallying every coin while wolf rats scamper through the piles. The arena is the fifth circle of Hell Pit, a vast gladiatorial ring that hangs between cliffs on hundreds and hundreds of rusted chains. New creations, mutated rat ogres, blade-limbed symbiotes, and more prove themselves in this place before packs of clan rats and honoured greyseers. Champions are sent to the barracks, while losers are taken to be rebuilt, sold on, or hurled screaming to the level below. This damned place is always teeming with action as hordes upon hordes of different specimens are forced to fight one after the other in the name of constantly trying and perfecting the killing machines that Clan Moulder puts out in the world. Then, moving on, the corpse soil ledge is reserved for those marked for special punishment. These include Skaven chieftains who failed in crucial tasks they were given, northern tribesmen delivered as tribute, and any who displeased the master moulders. They can be sure of the most horrific and extensive modifications, as punishment is not a spectacle here. It is a due process, and nothing is wasted. Escape is a fantasy. Victims are remade into grotesque furnishings or worse, enduring special procedures that not even us scholars here are able to fully disclose in this document. The seventh circle is right below that. Here the fiercest beasts and warlords are quartered in warren barracks. Slime-walled tunnels corkscrew to the surface. When war horns sound, they are unblocked and vomit forces into the northern light. Only the massive figure known as Gorich, the Castellan of Hellpit, and his iron will keeps this level from collapsing into rabid anarchy and infighting. When the war horns sound, it's Gorich who marshals rat ogres, wolf rats, and handlers into a somewhat disciplined horde, rather than a totally mindless stampede, then drives them out of those tunnels to raid and war. His origins are as grim as his duties. After failing Archaon as one of his trusted generals during the Storm of Chaos, he was given to the Skaven of Clan Moulder, where THROT transplanted his brain and forged him into Moulder's perfect enforcer. The penultimate level funnels the clan's foul runoff. Those who cheat Moulder are smeared with warpstone unguents and fused into living, writhing roots that slowly constrict in this level, while feral giant rats hunt anything that wriggles free. The truly massive amount of waste that Clan Moulder produces in its daily experiments all ends up here. Master Mutator Skarskrix prowls relentlessly in this place, forever perfecting the art of fusing all the waste with monsters, warpstone shards, and twisting roots at the base of the massive labyrinthine stronghold that is Hellpit. Oh, the last circle is the lowest and deepest of them all. Survivors of every torment end up in this abyss. Roaring aberrations maddened by their own forms, and many-headed chimera rats that cough warp fire into the dark. Bare-fleshed behemoths burrow new territory, and twin cyclopean giants operate winches that, in wartime, haul fetid horrors back up to fuel Moulder's campaigns. Here is home to abominable black monsters that were once sane men, creatures with forms so altered and minds so twisted that oftentimes lack any form of classification or tag. They just roam in the dark, some in total and eternal despair. Some wander there endlessly until time or the horns of war call upon them. Indeed, some of the most gruesome and massive monsters that inhabit the old world can be found in the deepest caves and tunnels of this dark place.
Hark well to the words I etch on stone, ye who have taken my place. Take solace with your gods, whoever they may be, when you hear the chains in the rhythm with paw steps come to you, and the bells toll. Make peace, and shut your eyes. I can smell the green reek they boil in their cauldrons even from the pens as far as here. The packmasters walk past our gibbets with their hooks and brands, counting us as if we were sacks of food. They chitter darkly as they write numbers on our skin with filthy, rusty nails. In the dark, dark deep of this forlorn dungeon, you will hear them laugh. Smile with joy that they do not laugh at you, for when you hear it, you will also hear a scream of abject agony twined with it. Oh, I hear what awaits. I've read the runes back home. Oft do I see discarded Umgi, Dowie, Delgi be dragged in their mutated state of eternal pain and thrown below like waste. They scream about and their limbs writhe as a rat man flings them away. When silence comes, just for a moment, I hear those sorry souls wallow below, alive and begging for death. And then, before long, silence again. If you read this etch, then you will see what they do to us. 6-eyed leviathans, each eye blurred with tears of pain or rage. Malformed mouths that gibber an amalgamation of words from different tongues. One such monster, as hideous as I describe now, I knew the runes on the scrap of leather stitched into its hide. A clan mark. A brother, once. They dragged him out and cut him apart and fed him back to himself until his shape completely changed. A rat ogre came to the bars today, urged on by whips that cracked. It pressed its face to the iron and breathed on me, baring its teeth. Oh, its breath was like old blood and cold ashes. I saw nails where teeth should be, and tools buried in its shoulders, as if the flesh had grown around them. You will wonder, as I do now, what the rat man will do to you when he comes pattering to your cage. You will begin to see more rat men near your cell. That means your time is short. I know they will take me soon. I fear not death as a dowie, but life as a beast of burden, a pet, a toy for rat men. They come for me soon. Oh gods, oh gods. Weep quietly now, lest rat ogres and their masters smell it. I have watched the order of things long enough to know. First, they will burn me with warpstone, then cut with the saw that grinds bones to sparks, then with the stitching that pulls flesh together in unnatural ways. They will pour their poison into my veins and teach my hands to obey a whistle. They will give me new strength and take my name. When the changing begins, I will beg my mind to remember the taste of stone dust and the weight of a hammer. But then, even that will go. They will turn me towards the pens and I will run on all fours. If any of my kin find these words on this wall to my hanging cage, write my name, Barty Snarrison, in the great book. Bring fire, fire! Do not fear to use it on what wears my beard. If I roar at you from a broken mouth or more, answer with powder and flame. Let me go as a dwarf, and not as a mockery. Oh, they are coming now. I can hear the bell. It is time. Oh, but
It is known that Clan Moulder is one of the infamous 4 great clans of the Skaven Under-Empire, and it has earned its notoriety through the creation of horrific war beasts via breeding, mutation, and surgical alteration. The loathsome stronghold of Clan Moulder is Hellpit itself, and it is here that the clan's master moulders practice their twisted craft. Warpstone, the corrupted mineral, is the lifeblood of Hellpit industry. Rich seams of warpstone are mined from the depths of the stronghold and applied liberally to fuel growth and induce mutations in living creatures. Generations of exposure to warpstone have affected the Master Moulders as well, warping their bodies and minds into something both more and less than typical Skaven. These flesh smiths see living tissue as clay to be shaped. Just as the technomancers of Clan Scryer tinker with machines, the Moulders meld flesh and bone like clay in their laboratories, engineering new life forms through horrendous experimentation. Giant rats and the hulking rat ogres are two early successors of Clan Moulder's art, but they are far from the only ones. The very ethos of Clan Moulder is one of cruel scientific curiosity. Nothing is sacred, and any creature, whether man, rat or monster, is but raw material for improvement. In the quest to breed the ultimate weapon beast, the Master Moulders will freely perform unmentionable unions of species and grant flesh to flesh in ways that defy nature and sanity. Captured soldiers or kidnapped peasants are another valuable resource. Those not sold on as labor may end up as test subjects or feed for bigger creatures. Clan Moulder's domain runs on an economy of flesh, fur and fear. The influence of Clan Moulder within Skavendom is immense. So sought after are their creations that the other Skaven powers pay heavily for monsters to bolster their own armies. Indeed, nearly every arch-warlord of the Council of 13 boasts at least one Clan Moulder-bred warbeast in his retinue. A rat ogre being most common, and some possess unique nightmare creatures that only the Master Moulders could create. This lucrative trade has made Clan Moulder one of the wealthiest of all Skaven clans. Few rivals dare challenge them openly, for Moulder can unleash entire armies of grotesquely mutated beasts upon any foe. In Skaven politics, might makes right, and the flesh-fueled might of Hellpit ensures that Clan Moulder's voice carries considerable weight in the Under-Empire. Even so, whispers and Skaven tunnels hint that Clan Moulder's ambitions run even darker and more secretive than selling monsters for profit. The recent surge in new and ever more terrifying creations pouring forth from Hellpit has other Skaven clans nervous. What schemes the Packmasters concoct in their burrows is a question that troubles not only men, but Skaven themselves. Over the centuries, the fleshrights of Hellpit have spawned an obscene variety of abominations. Within the 9 circles of Hellpit are countless breeding pens, flesh distilleries and laboratories, all ceaselessly working to produce warbeasts for Clan Moulder's armies, and for sale to other clans. They will even incorporate the strongest features of captured chaos beasts like claws, venom, regenerative tissue, extra heads and more into new experiments, always striving to create ever more fearsome yet stable monsters. The result is a grotesque menagerie of creations that defy natural order. I'll list some of the most notorious products of Hellpit's laboratories. Sometimes called rat wolves, these vicious predators are a crossbreed of Skaven and wolf stock. The wolf rat has the lithe body and crude intellect of a rat combined with the powerful jaws and pack-hunting instincts of a wolf. Covered in mangy grey fur with a low-slung lupine build, they skulk close to the ground as they run. Wolf rats are known for their speed and rapid aggression. They can close in with prey within moments and tear apart unwary sentries in the wild. Clan Moulder often rears them as hunting beasts, or releases them in tunnels to flush out enemies. Perhaps the most infamous of Clan Moulder's creations, rat ogres are giant, muscular hybrids bred from Skaven and ogre stock, augmented with who knows what else. Standing taller than two men, a single rat ogre has the strength to smash through a wooden gate or rip apart a regiment of soldiers in close quarters. These brutes are stitched together with crude surgery and warp science. Jagged scars crisscross their fur where extra limbs or bony armor plates have been grafted onto their bodies. It is not uncommon for wealthy Skaven warlords to pay for customized rat ogres, specimens fitted with steel claws, blade attachments, or even warpstone-fueled mechanical implants. The result is a hulking engine of destruction that obeys its packmaster's commands without question. Often thanks to painful conditioning and implanted failsafes, many an Imperial officer, upon seeing a roaring rat ogre barrel into his battle line, has known true fear. The most grotesque and nightmarish creation to crawl out of Hellpit's vaults is the Hellpit Abomination. This hulking horror is a massive conglomeration of flesh and bone, a writhing mound of melted anatomy that defies any sane description. An abomination can tower over even an ogre giant. It is essentially a moving mountain of deformed flesh, propelled by countless clawed arms, insectile legs, and whipping tails that protrude from its amorphous body. Many of the half-formed heads studding its bulk are rat-like, some hairless and blind, others filled with rows of razor-sharp teeth. In order to spur this loathsome titan into motion, Clan Moulder's artisans graft mechanical contraptions into it, from wheels and pulleys to fluid pumps that continuously inject warpstone-saturated growth serum into the creature's veins. Hellpit abominations are virtually unstoppable on the battlefield. They advance with an erratic, pulsing gait, crushing anything in their path. Eyewitnesses describe these behemoths rearing up and then slamming down with the force of a falling tower, smashing infantry to paste. Most terrifying of all, the abominations are monstrously difficult to slay. Accounts speak of Hellpit abominations that shrugged off cannonballs and sword blows, visibly regenerating wounded flesh, and even reanimating after apparent death to continue the slaughter. It often takes fire or potent magic to finally put one down. Unsurprisingly, the mere sight of a Hellpit abomination has caused hardened soldiers to break and flee long before the thing closes into melee. This monstrosity is Clan Moulder's ultimate triumph of fleshcraft, a creature so unnatural that it shouldn't exist, and yet it does, instilling terror on any battlefield where it appears. The methods used to create these variations of twisted creatures are as appalling as the results. In the depths of Hellpit, Skaven flesh scientists perform unspeakable surgeries by the light of warpstone lamps. Vivisection, bone splicing, and the infusion of warp chemical elixirs are daily routines. Breeding programs pair the most aberrant specimens to exaggerate desirable traits. And the influence of chaos is never far, as exposure to chaotic mutagens and the consumption of warpstone-laced feed often induce sudden drastic mutations with a high rate of failure. The breeding pits of Hellpit are literally that. Plague-soaked pens crawling with vermin and brood mothers, grotesquely bloated rat beast females that birth litter after litter of rat men for Clan Moulder's use. Those pups spawn that devour their siblings and display unusual size or aggression, such as the feared brood horrors, are separated and raised to become the next generation of war beasts. It is a process of cruel natural selection, accelerated and directed by sadistic intelligence. One fellow Imperial scholar, who secretly studied the recovered Skaven notes and vivisected specimens, wrote, Unmentionable unions that could drive a witness insane are the bread and butter of this realm. Truly, this is a place where no ethical or natural law holds sway, only the warped imagination of the Moulders and the will of the horned rat. In ancient times, long before the Empire's rise, a mighty Skaven warlord named Lord Malkrit led his followers into the far north and made them dig deep into the frozen earth. There, beneath the icy ground, they established a new Warren city. From the start, Hellpit's purpose was singular. It would be a sanctuary for forbidden experiments, far from prying eyes, where Skaven could tamper with the forms of beasts captured from the surface. Warpstone was plentiful in those dark mines, providing the catalyst for countless mutations. It is said the first generations of Clan Moulder toiled ceaselessly, expanding their burrows into the cavernous layered layout that we know today. By the time humans first founded the city of Nuln far to the south, Hellpit was already a thriving den of monstrosities in the north. One of the earliest recorded clashes involving Hellpit came roughly 500 years after its founding, when the dwarfs of the Norska region became aware of a malignant presence under the mountains. Norse dwarf chronicles speak of a protracted war against a Skaven lair in Troll country around this time. Though details are sparse, it is clear that the dwarfs recognized the foul handiwork of Clan Moulder. They sealed trade routes and fought several battles in the far north, attempting to scour the Under-Empire's tendrils from their realm. Ultimately, the dwarves could not permanently illuminate Hellpit, as the fortress was too vast and too far from their strongholds to besiege effectively. This early conflict, however, ensured that Hellpit's existence was noted in dwarf lore. The only assault on Hellpit itself that ever came close to succeeding occurred during the Great Chaos Incursion during the years 2301 to 2303 of the Imperial calendar, known in Imperial history as Magnus the Pious's War against Chaos. While the Empire battled the Chaos Horde in Kislev and the Northern Empire, an unlikely alliance of Chaos warbands and beastmen struck at Hellpit from the north. It is recorded that multiple tribal champions and their warbands, corrupted trolls and beastmen warherds descended into Hellpit Crater, determined to annihilate the Skaven stronghold. In a bloody assault, these invaders forced their way through Hellpit's outer defenses and overran the first 3 circles of the subterranean city, massacring countless Skaven and freeing scores of caged experiment victims in the process. Panic must have reigned in the lower depths of Clan Moulder's realm as the Dark God's servants rampaged. However, the attackers soon faced the true depth of Hellpit's depravity. Clan Moulder packmasters drove innumerable giant rats forward like a living tide to bog down the Chaos Warriors. The howling vermin swarmed over beastmen and Chaos marauders alike, buying the Skaven time. Then, at the pivotal moment, THROT the Unclean, the infamous Pack Lord and principal Fleshmaster of Hellpit, personally led a counterattack. He unleashed an entire army of rabid rat ogres. Rat ogres! An army of them! Many of them augmented with extra limbs or armor plating, in a frenzied wave against the intruders. Hellpit was saved by the very monstrosities it creates. The few Chaos survivors likely fell to infighting, or the wrath of the Dark Gods for failing. For Imperial scholars, this event was illuminating. It demonstrates just how militarily potent Hellpit is. Even one of the strongest Chaos incursions, which toppled cities above, could not topple Hellpit. To this day, the The Great War against Chaos stands as a rare instance of Hell Pit under siege, and it enforces why a direct assault on that stronghold by any conventional army would be foolhardy. Around the dawn of the year 2502 of the Imperial calendar, just after the coronation of Emperor Karl Franz in Altdorf, an unexpected invader tested Hell Pit's defences. The Orc warlord Grimgor Ironhide. Famed for his insatiable lust for combat, Grimgor led his horde of Black Orc Ardboys northward after rampaging through the World's Edge Mountains. In his search for worthy battles, Grimgor turned his one good eye toward Hell Pit, perhaps lured by rumours of mighty beasts to fight. The incredibly strong and relentless orcs besieged Hell Pit with characteristic directness, storming the tunnels with roaring war cries. Astoundingly, Grimgor's brutes fought their way through several outer warrens, slaughtering packs of clan rats and mutant rats by the score. At this point, with Skaven losses mounting, THROT the Unclean was forced to personally intervene. He amassed a hungry horde of his largest mutant rat ogres and unleashed them in a concentrated wave against Grimgor's host. At first, the tide of rat ogres forced the intruders to reel as they shouldered through the press, until Grimgor shook off his surprise and grinned like a butcher. He chose his answer, planting himself in a cramped throat of tunnel where only a few rat ogres could reach him at a time, while some of the other greenskins scrambled back toward the upper vaults. There he stood alone, Gitsnik carving a steady measure of killings as hours and hours slid past in the guttering torchlight. Packmasters screamed and lashed, flesh giants crashed forward, and still the massive black orc cut them down, until the Skaven lost their nerve and dragged what remained of their rat ogres out of reach of Grimgor's deadly axe. News of this reversal brought THROT the Unclean to a boil. Experiments were abandoned, pens thrown open, and the flesh-smiths yoked their most vicious stock for a personal reckoning with the greenskin war boss. He marched to the killing ground with cages clanking and pumps hissing warp broth into swollen veins, only to find that Grimgor was already gone. Bored of the slaughter, and thinking that he had already killed the best the Skaven could throw at him, Grimgor had climbed back towards the light above Karakongor, and THROT, cheated of his jewel and shaking with fury, loosed his mutant harvest southward instead, sending Fang and Claw to rake the Empire's borderlands. THROT the Unclean is Clan Moulder's depraved master mutator, lord of the flesh hives of Hell Pit. Scarred by his own experiments and cursed with a gnawing hunger that never eases, he chews warpstone like gristle and carves new inventions into living tissue. Under his rule, Hell Pit is a screaming manufactory. Prisoner pens, charnel vats, and stitch altars where fur, bone, and demontate are spliced into sellable war beasts. He breeds rat ogres by the hundreds, unleashes packs of wolf rats across the snows, and constantly perfects the ultimate atrocity, the Hell Pit abomination. That at first he named the Things. Failed experiments are hurled back into the vats, rivals are repurposed as parts of new entities. THROT the Unclean sells nightmares to the other clans and raids Kislevite lands for fresh stock, his packmasters driving chain-linked monstrosities like cattle to slaughter. It is agreed upon by scholars and military tacticians that THROT the Unclean is a strategic nightmare for the Empire because he industrializes monstrosity. His burrow routes let raiders strike deep into Kislev and the northern provinces, seizing captives and vanishing before armies can respond, only to return as stitched horrors that shrug off shot and steel. Warpstone experimentation spreads mutation, plague, and terror, collapsing morale and logistics. Worst of all, He can replace losses faster than the Empire can, turning every hard-won victory into a Pyrrhic one. Writing this treatise has not been easy. More than once I found myself recoiling at the descriptions I transcribed, unable to sleep with the images of writhing rat things in my mind's eye. I end this entry with a personal note and a prayer. May Sigmar and all the gods watch over us, that we should be spared the sight of Hell Pit with our own eyes. And if fate decrees that such nightmares crawl out from the north, may our knowledge and our united strength be enough to drive them back into the pit. For if the Hell Pit and its masters have their way, the old world will be overrun by an unstoppable tide of engineered terror, a prospect that chills me more deeply than any winter wind. I have been Steffan Hoffman, Doctor of Biology and Zoology from the University of Nuln, and for now I return to my maps and my notes, for the old world endures only so long as we keep watch. Thank you, and I will see you in our next lore exploration.